The Vorak fleet filled the sky. 500 warships. 10,000 soldiers. Every weapon the Empire possessed, aimed at one small human vessel. Emperor Krath himself had come to witness the end of the rebellion. His flagship, a massive black ship called the Eternal Night, led the formation. On the bridge of the dawn of Earth, the humans watched the approaching death. "Wow," Wu said quietly. "This is not ideal." Captain Tay almost laughed. Even now, facing certain destruction, his weapons officer found ways to be calm. It was one of the things Tay admired about him. "Options?" the captain asked. "We could run," Hana said. "Our ship is faster than theirs. We might escape. And then what?" "They will hunt us forever. Every slave who helped us will be punished. Everything we built will be destroyed. Then we fight," Braun said. The Gorath warrior stood at the back of the bridge, his massive arms crossed. "We knew this day would come. We knew we would eventually face the full power of the Empire. Let us make it a battle they never forget." Tay looked at his crew. 35 humans and 60 freed slaves. Against 500 warships. The mathematics were simple. They would lose, but losing was not the same as failing. "Open a channel," Tay ordered. "All frequencies. I want every ship in that fleet to hear this." Hana's fingers flew across her console. "Channel open, Captain." Tay stood straight and faced the view screen. The face of Emperor Krath appeared, twisted with rage and triumph. "Human," the Emperor growled. "You have caused me great trouble. You have destroyed my ships, freed my property, and spread lies throughout my empire. For this, you will suffer. Your death will take years. Your screams will echo through history. Maybe," Tay said calmly, "but you will never forget me. That is worth more than you know." Krath laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Forget you? I will erase you. When this day is over, humans will be nothing but a footnote. A minor irritation that was crushed like all the others." "You are afraid," Tay said. The laughter stopped. "You heard me. 500 ships to destroy one vessel. The entire Vorak fleet against 35 humans. That is not strength. That is fear. You are terrified of us. And you should be." Krath's red eyes burned with fury. "I fear nothing. Then why are you here? A confident emperor would send a few ships and be done with it. But you came yourself with everything you have. Because you know the truth. You know that we have already won. You will die today, human. That is not victory." "We will die," Tay agreed. "But the idea will not. Every slave in your empire has heard of us. Every prison whispers our name. Every work camp dreams of freedom. You can kill us, but you cannot kill hope. And hope is more dangerous than any weapon." He leaned forward. "I have a message for you, Emperor. Not from me. From every species you have tortured. From every child you have stolen. From every world you have burned." He smiled. It was not a kind smile. "We are coming. Maybe not today. Maybe not this year. But someday your empire will fall. Your throne will crumble. And when it does, remember this moment. Remember the day 40 humans looked at your entire fleet and did not flinch." Krath cut the transmission. His face was pale with rage. "Destroy them," he ordered. Now, the Vorak fleet opened fire. The dawn of Earth shook as energy beams struck its shields. Alarms screamed. Consoles exploded. The humans held tight and waited. Now, Tay said Hannah hit a button on her console. Every screen on every Vorak ship suddenly showed the same thing. Recordings. Months of recordings. Every attack the humans had made. Every slave they had freed. Every Vorak soldier they had killed. But that was not all. The recordings also showed the rebellions. Slaves rising up on 100 worlds. Vorak guards being overwhelmed, prisons being emptied, factories being destroyed. The Empire was burning, and the Vorak soldiers were seeing it for the first time. "What is this?" Krath screamed. "Turn it off! Turn it off!" But the humans had hacked deep into the Vorak communication network. The broadcast could not be stopped. Every soldier, every commander, every citizen of the Empire was watching their world fall apart. "This is our victory," Tay said quietly. "Not killing you. Showing everyone the truth. The Vorak are not gods. They are just bullies. And bullies can be beaten." The dawn of Earth was failing. Its shields were gone. Its engines were dying. Fire spread through its corridors. The humans knew they had minutes left. Wu walked to Captain Tay's side. "It has been an honor," he said. "The honor was mine," Tay replied. Hana joined them. Then Braun. Then Kira. Then every human and freed slave on the ship. They stood together on the burning bridge, watching the Vorak fleet approach. "I am sorry I could not take you home," Tay said to Kira. She shook her head. "You did take me home. For the first time in my life, I was free. I belonged somewhere. I belonged with you." The Vorak flagship moved closer. Krath wanted to watch the final destruction personally. His ship's weapons charged for a killing blow. Then something happened. A Vorak cruiser broke formation. It turned its weapons not on the human ship, but on the ship next to it. Another Vorak ship. More ships followed. Then more. Within minutes, the Vorak fleet was firing on itself. Krath watched in horror as his own soldiers turned against each other. The broadcast had done its work. The soldiers had seen the truth. They had seen that the Empire was weak, that their enemies were winning, that their masters had lied to them for centuries. Some wanted to fight for the Emperor. Others wanted to join the rebellion. Most just wanted to survive. The battle that followed was chaos. In the confusion, a small shuttle launched from the dawn of Earth. Hana was piloting. Only 10 humans and a handful of freed slaves were aboard. The rest had stayed behind to keep the ship running long enough for the others to escape. "Captain, come on!" Hana shouted through the radio. Tay stood alone on the bridge. Around him, his crew lay wounded or dying. The ship was breaking apart. "Get them to safety, Lieutenant." "That is an order." "Tay, tell the galaxy we were here. Tell them humans existed. Tell them we fought. That is all I ask." He cut the transmission. The shuttle flew through the chaos of the Vorak civil war. Hana's eyes were blurred with tears, but her hands were steady. She would not let his sacrifice be wasted. Behind her, the dawn of Earth made its final move. Captain Tay aimed the dying ship at the Vorak flagship. His engines screamed one last time. Emperor Krath saw what was happening. He ordered his ship to move. But it was too slow. It had always been too slow. The dawn of Earth struck the eternal night at full speed. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the entire sector. Emperor Krath died without a throne, without an empire, without hope. The news spread across the galaxy within hours. The Emperor was dead. The Vorak fleet was in ruins. The slaves were rising everywhere. Liberation came slowly at first, then faster. One planet after another threw off their chains. The Vorak soldiers, leaderless and demoralized, surrendered or fled. Within a year, the Empire was gone. Hana became a leader of the new Galactic Council. Braun rebuilt the Garth military as a force for protection, not conquest. Kira returned to Fanara and became a teacher, showing children what freedom meant. They built a memorial on the spot where the dawn of Earth had made its last stand. It was a simple structure, a silver pillar reaching toward the stars. On its base, one word was written in every language of the galaxy. Human. Visitors came from every world to see it. They brought their children, their elders, their hopes. They stood before the memorial and remembered the 40 beings who had changed everything. One night, Hana visited alone. She was older now. Her hair was gray, but her eyes were still sharp. "We did it, Tay," she whispered. "We actually did it. The galaxy is free. The children are growing up without chains. Hope is real again." She touched the cold metal of the memorial. "I miss you every day, but I know you are at peace. You finished what you started. You kept your promise." A small hand tugged at her sleeve. Hana looked down. A Fenari child stood there, golden eyes wide with wonder. "Are you the fire from the void?" the child asked. "The one from the stories?" Hana smiled. "I am just a human. The fire came from all of us. Will you tell me about them? The humans who saved the galaxy?" Hana knelt down and took the child's hand. "Yes," she said. "I will tell you everything. And someday you will tell others. That is how heroes live forever. Through stories." She looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, new humans were being born. Children of the survivors spreading across the galaxy, building new homes, creating new futures. Earth was gone. But humanity was not. They had awakened in a galaxy of chains. They had died setting it free. And their memory would burn bright for as long as stars existed. This was their gift to the universe. This was their legacy. This was what it meant to be human. The Varak supply ship never saw them coming. It was a massive vessel, carrying food and weapons to the outer colonies of the Empire. 300 Varak soldiers guarded its cargo. They were bored and lazy. Nothing interesting ever happened on supply runs. The dawn of Earth appeared from behind a small moon. Its old engines burned bright as it accelerated toward the supply ship. On the bridge, Captain Tay watched the distance close. "They are trying to contact us," Hana reported. "They want to know who we are." "Let them wonder," Tay said. "Woo, are the weapons ready?" "Ready, Captain." The Varak commander finally realized something was wrong. He ordered his soldiers to battle stations. The supply ship's guns began to turn toward the approaching vessel. Too slow. The dawn of Earth fired first. Human missiles screamed through space, faster than anything the Varak had ever seen. They struck the supply ship's engines, tearing them apart in a flash of fire. The Varak ship went dark. Emergency lights flickered on. Alarms screamed through its halls. "Boarding teams, go." Tay ordered. Hana led the first team. She had trained the humans hard during the 3 weeks since they started planning. They were not natural soldiers, but they learned fast. Fear was a good teacher. The boarding shuttle connected to the crippled supply ship. Hana kicked open the airlock and charged inside, weapon raised. The first Varak soldier she met was huge, 7 feet tall, with 4 arms reaching for her throat. Hana did not hesitate. She fired 3 shots into his chest. He fell. Behind her, the other humans spread through the corridors. The sound of gunfire echoed through the ship. Screams followed. Most of them were Varak. The battle lasted 20 minutes. When it was over, every Varak soldier was dead. The humans had lost 2 of their own, Engineer Shin and Dr. Kim. They had died fighting, weapons in their hands. Hana stood over their bodies. She wanted to cry, but there was no time. She would cry later. She would remember them forever. "Cargo hold is secured," Wu reported over the radio. "Captain, you need to see this." Tay arrived to find something he did not expect. The cargo hold was not filled with weapons or food. It was filled with cages. Slaves. Hundreds of them. Lumi, Fenari, Gorath, and species Tay did not recognize. They stared at the humans with wide, terrified eyes. They had learned that strangers meant pain. Kira pushed through the crowd. She spoke rapidly in several languages, translating for the humans. They thought we were Varak at first, she said. They thought this was another torture session. They cannot believe what they are seeing. Tay approached the nearest cage. Inside was a Gorath male. He was huge, even larger than the Varak soldiers. But his eyes were the eyes of a broken man. "My name is Tay," the captain said slowly. "I am human. We are here to free you." The Gorath did not respond. He did not seem to understand. Then a small Fenari child squeezed through the bars of her cage. She walked up to Tay and touched his hand. Her fingers were tiny and blue. "Free?" she whispered. "What is free?" Tay knelt down to look at her. She could not have been more than 4 years old. She had never known anything but captivity. "Free means no one hurts you anymore," Tay said. "Free means you choose where you go and what you do. Free means you are a person, not a thing." The child looked at him with huge golden eyes. "I want to be free," she said. Tay smiled. "Then you are free. Right now. Forever." The words spread through the cages like wildfire. "Free. The humans are setting us free. This is real. This is happening." Wu and his team cut open every cage. The slaves poured out, touching the humans with wonder, crying, laughing, falling to their knees. Some had been in chains for decades. They had forgotten what standing straight felt like. Among the freed slaves was a Gorath named Braun. He was the largest being Tay had ever seen. His arms were thick as tree trunks. Scars covered every inch of his gray skin. "You killed the guards," Braun said. His voice was deep as thunder. "You killed them like they were nothing." "They were evil," Hannah said. "Evil should be killed." Braun stared at her for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He smiled. "I was a warrior once," he said. "Before the Varak broke me. I thought that part of me was dead." He straightened his back. For the first time in years, he looked like the soldier he used to be. "I was wrong." Similar conversations were happening throughout the cargo hold. The freed slaves were not just grateful. They were transforming. The light was returning to their eyes. Hope was becoming something they could touch. "We cannot take everyone on our ship," Tay said to Kira. "There are too many." "You do not need to," she replied. "The supply ship is damaged but still works. Give them this vessel. Let them spread the word." "What word?" Kira turned to face the crowd of freed slaves. When she spoke, her voice carried through the entire hold. "The Varak are not gods. Today, 40 humans destroyed 300 Varak soldiers. Today, hundreds of slaves became free. Today, the Empire learned something it had forgotten." She raised her fist. "They can bleed. And if they can bleed, they can die." The slaves erupted in cheers. It was a sound that had not been heard in the galaxy for 2 centuries. The sound of hope reborn. Over the next 3 months, the pattern repeated. The humans struck supply lines and freed prisoners. They destroyed communication stations and spread chaos. They never stayed in one place long enough for the Empire to catch them. Braun and 50 other former slaves had joined their crew. They trained with human weapons, learned human tactics. The Gorath warrior became Wu's best student. Together, they turned rage into something useful. News of the attack spread faster than the Empire could suppress it. Slaves whispered to each other in work camps across 100 worlds. "The humans are real. The humans are fighting. Maybe someday they will come for us." And the whispers became actions. On the planet Phanara, slaves revolted and killed their guards. On Lumia, the Lumi sabotaged the light factories, plunging entire Vorak cities into darkness. On a dozen other worlds, small rebellions sparked to life. The Varak Empire was not falling, but it was beginning to shake. Emperor Krath sat on his bone throne and listened to the reports. His red eyes burned with rage. Someone was defying him. Someone was hurting his empire. Someone would pay. Find them, he growled. I do not care how many ships it takes. I do not care how many soldiers die. Find these humans and bring them to me. I will teach them what happens to those who challenge the Vorik. His generals bowed and hurried to obey Don, but finding the humans was not easy. They appeared from nowhere and vanished into nothing. Their ship was small and fast. Their tactics were unpredictable. Every trap the Vorik set was empty. Every ambush failed. The humans were ghosts. And ghosts could not be caught. On the dawn of Earth, the crew celebrated another successful raid. They had freed 1,000 slaves and destroyed a Vorik weapons factory. The cost had been high. 5 more humans had died. But the survivors kept fighting. Hannah stood at the window of her quarters, looking at the stars. She was tired. They were all tired. But stopping was not an option. Kira found her there. You are thinking about the ones you lost, Kira said. Always, Hannah admitted. Every time we win, I think about the cost. Every time we save someone, I remember who we could not save. Kira stood beside her. In the months since they met, she had changed. She was no longer a frightened refugee. She was a fighter. On Fanara, we have a saying, Kira said. Every candle that burns loses something, but the darkness loses more. Hannah smiled sadly. That is beautiful. It is true. You have lost friends. That pain is real. But the Vorik have lost something greater. They have lost their power over us. They have lost their certainty. They have lost their sleep. She touched Hannah's arm. My people sing songs about you now. They call you the fire from the void. They say you came to burn away the darkness. When children are scared, their parents tell them the humans are coming. And suddenly, they are not scared anymore. Hannah felt tears on her cheeks. She did not wipe them away. We are just 40 people, she said. 35 now. We cannot save everyone. You do not need to save everyone, Kira said. You just need to show us that saving is possible. The rest we will do ourselves. The door opened. Captain Tay stood there, his face serious. We have a problem, he said. The Vorik are gathering their fleet. All of it. Every warship in the Empire is moving toward the same location. Where? Hannah asked. Tay's jaw tightened. Here. They are coming here. They found us. The hologram flickered to life in the center of the room. Kira had brought recordings with her from the prison ship. Every slave knew where the Vorik kept their records. It was how they reminded the conquered species of their place. Watch this, the guards would say. Watch what happens to those who resist. Now the humans were watching, and they were not looking away. The first recording showed a planet called Lumia. It had been beautiful once. Cities of crystal rose from golden plains. Rivers of light flowed through valleys of glass. The Lumi had built something wonderful there. The recording showed the Vorik arriving. Their ships filled the sky like a black tide. The crystal cities cracked and fell. The rivers of light went dark. The Lumi screamed as soldiers dragged them from their homes. Hannah's hands were shaking. She did not notice. The second recording showed the work camps. Thousands of Lumi stood in lines, their bodies thin and broken. They were forced to shine their light into massive machines. The machines converted the light into power for Vorik warships. When a Lumi could not shine anymore, they were thrown away like trash. This has been happening for 200 years, Kira said quietly. Every day, without end. The third recording was worse. It showed a Fanari village being destroyed. Soldiers moved through the streets, taking anyone they wanted. Families were separated. Children cried for their parents. Parents reached for their children. The soldiers laughed. Wu stood up and left the room. No one blamed him. My mother was in that village, Kira said. Her voice was empty. I was 3 years old. I do not remember her face anymore. I only remember her screaming. Captain Tay paused the recording. He could not watch more. None of them could. The room was silent. The humans sat in darkness, surrounded by the ghosts of civilizations they had never known. These were strangers from distant stars, species they had never heard of before today. And yet the pain felt personal. The rage felt righteous. How many? Hannah asked. How many have died? Kira closed her eyes. Billions. Maybe more. The Varak do not count slaves. We are not people to them. We are tools. When a tool breaks, you throw it away. Dr. Yuna wiped tears from her face. How has no one stopped them? How has no one fought back? Many have tried, Kira said. The Goreth gathered their strongest warriors. The Varak killed them in 3 days. The Solani tried to poison their masters. The Vorak burned their entire planet as punishment. Every rebellion ends the same way, in death. Then why do you still hope? Tay asked. Why did you escape? Why did you run instead of giving up? Kira looked at him. For the first time, something like fire appeared in her golden eyes. Because of the stories, she said. The old stories that the elders whisper when the guards are not listening. Stories about a time before the Varak. Stories about freedom. Stories about beings who would come from the stars and save us. She laughed bitterly. We thought they were just dreams. Lies we told ourselves to survive another day. But then I found you. She pointed at the humans. You are real. You are free. You have weapons and ships. And most importantly, the Varak do not know you exist. They have no records of humans. They have no defenses against you. For the first time in 200 years, they would be facing something new. Tay walked to the window. The stars outside seemed different now. Not just points of light, but prisons, graves, monuments to suffering. We are 40 people, he said. 40 people against an empire. Our ship is old. Our weapons are ancient by your standards. We have no allies, no supplies, no plan. That is more than the slaves have, Kira said. More than they have had in centuries. Engineer Park had been quiet until now. He was a small man with thick glasses and clever hands. He had built half the systems on the dawn of Earth. Captain, he said, I have been looking at our weapons. You are right that they are old. But old is not the same as weak. He pulled up a display on his tablet. When we left Earth, humanity was at war. The resource wars. Countries fighting countries for water and land. We developed weapons that were designed for one purpose. To end conflicts quickly and completely. The display showed blueprints, missiles, bombs, energy weapons. The Vorak have never seen anything like this. Their technology is powerful, but it is built for controlling slaves, not fighting wars. They have not had a real enemy in 200 years. They have grown lazy, overconfident. Wu returned to the room. His eyes were red, but his voice was steady. I have been thinking the same thing, he said. Their ships are big and impressive, but they are slow. Their weapons are designed to terrorize, not to destroy. They use fear as their main tool because no one has ever given them a real fight. We can give them a fight, Park said. A fight they will never forget. Tay turned back to face his crew. He saw fear in their eyes. That was good. Fear meant they understood what they were facing. But he also saw something else. Determination. I need to know, he said. I need to know that everyone understands what this means. If we do this, some of us will die. Maybe all of us. We will be fighting an enemy with unlimited soldiers and endless resources. We will be fighting in territory we do not know, for people we have never met. He paused. But we will also be fighting for something that matters. For freedom. For justice. For the chance that someday A child in this galaxy will grow up without chains. Is that worth dying for? Hannah spoke first. When I left Earth, I thought I was running away from war. Now I understand that war found me anyway. I would rather die fighting than live hiding. The Vorak hurt children, Dr. Yuna said. They hurt children. I cannot heal the galaxy, but I can help break the chains. My answer is yes. One by one, the humans spoke. Every single one said yes. Even the engineers and scientists who had never held weapons. Even the farmers who had only ever planted seeds. Kira watched with tears in her eyes. You are insane, she whispered. All of you are completely insane. Probably, Tay agreed. But insane people have changed history before. He pulled up a star map on the main screen. It showed the Vorak Empire spreading across the galaxy like a disease. Kira, I need information. Everything you know about their military, their supply lines, their weaknesses. We cannot defeat them with strength, so we must defeat them with speed and surprise. Kira nodded eagerly. I worked in a record facility. I know more about the Empire than most slaves. I can tell you where their patrols are weakest. I can tell you which commanders are stupid and which are dangerous. I can tell you where the other slaves are held. The other slaves, Hana repeated. How many? Millions, billions, spread across 100 worlds. Most have given up hope. But if they saw someone fighting back, if they saw the Vorak bleeding, Kira's voice grew stronger. They would rise. They would join you. The Empire is built on fear. Break the fear, and the Empire falls. Wu smiled grimly. Then we break the fear. For the next several hours, they planned. Kira shared everything she knew. The humans listened, asked questions, and took notes. Slowly, a strategy began to form. They would not attack the Empire directly. That would be suicide. Instead, they would become ghosts. Strike and vanish. Hit supply lines. Free prisoners. Spread hope like a virus. Every attack would send a message. The Vorak are not gods. The Vorak can be hurt. The Vorak can be defeated. One more thing, Kira said as the meeting ended. The old stories I mentioned. The ones about saviors from the stars. They had a name for these beings. What name? Tay asked. Kira looked at him with something like wonder. The stories called them the awakened ones. Beings who had slept for ages and would wake when the galaxy needed them most. She smiled through her tears. I thought it was just a myth. But here you are, awake. Tay placed a hand on her shoulder. Then let us live up to the legend, he said. Let us show the galaxy what the awakened ones can do. Outside the ship, the stars waited. They had seen empires rise and fall for billions of years. They had watched countless species live and die. They did not care about the plans being made on the dawn of Earth. But soon, they would witness something new. Humanity was awake. And humanity was angry. The Vorak Empire had ruled through fear for 200 years. They had never known defeat. They had never known resistance. They were about to learn. The first breath hurt. Lieutenant Hana opened her eyes and felt like she was swallowing knives. Her lungs burned as warm air pushed out the cold that had lived inside her for centuries. Her fingers twitched. Her toes curled. Every part of her body screamed with the pain of coming back to life. She tried to remember where she was. The cryopod. The mission. Earth. It all came back slowly, like water dripping into an empty cup. She had volunteered for this journey. She had said goodbye to her mother, her father, her little brother. She had promised to send them a message when they found the new planet. How long had she been asleep? The pod door hissed open, and Hana fell forward onto cold metal floor. She could not stand. Her muscles had forgotten how to work. She lay there, breathing, staring at the ceiling lights that flickered above her. Other pods were opening. She heard coughing, groaning, sounds of people returning from the edge of death. Someone called out a name. Someone else started crying. Hannah forced herself to move. She grabbed the edge of a table and pulled herself up. The room spun around her, but she did not fall. She was a soldier. She was trained for this. Captain Tay was already standing. He looked older than Hannah remembered. The cryo sleep had not been kind to him. His hair was gray at the edges now, and lines had appeared around his eyes. But his back was straight, and his voice was steady. "Everyone stay calm," he said. "This is normal. The weakness will pass in a few minutes. Medical team, check on anyone who is not waking up." Dr. Yuna moved immediately. She was an older woman with gentle hands and a sharp mind. 2 of the cryopods had not opened. She checked the screens and shook her head. "They did not survive," she said quietly. "The pods failed sometime during the journey." "I'm sorry, Captain." Tay closed his eyes for a moment. 2 of his people, gone before the mission even truly began. He would remember their names. He would honor them later. Right now, he needed to focus. What triggered the emergency revival? He asked. "We should still be in transit." The ship's computer answered. Its voice was old and crackled with static. "External contact detected at airlock 7. Unknown vessel attached. Life form detected inside. Species unknown." Everyone stopped moving. "Life form?" Hannah repeated. "What kind of life form?" "Unknown," the computer said again. "Species not in database. Biological signs indicate injury and distress." Tay looked at Wu, who had pulled himself out of his pod and was already checking the weapon locker. The weapons officer said nothing, but his meaning was clear. They should be careful. "Hannah, Wu with me," Tay said. "Everyone else, stay here and recover. Dr. Yuna, prepare the medical bay in case our visitor needs help." The 3 of them walked through the halls of the dawn of Earth. Everything was covered in dust. The lights flickered and buzzed. Some of the doors did not open properly and had to be forced. Hannah felt strange walking through the ship. She remembered it being bright and clean, full of hope and excitement. Now it felt like a tomb. How many years had passed while they slept? She was afraid to find out. They reached airlock 7. Through the small window, they could see a damaged shuttle connected to their ship. Inside the shuttle, something was moving. Wu raised his weapon. Tay held up a hand. "Wait," he said. The computer said it was injured. "Let me try talking first." He pressed the communication button. "This is Captain Tay of the Dawn of Earth. We are humans from the planet Earth. We mean you no harm. Can you understand me?" Silence. Then a small voice answered. It was speaking a language none of them knew, but the ship's computer was already working. After 300 years, its translation systems were slow but still functional. "Please," the voice said through the translation. "Please help me. They are coming. They will find me." Tay looked at his companions. Hannah nodded. Wu lowered his weapon slightly. "We are opening the airlock," Tay said. "Come inside. We will protect you." The door opened, and Kira stumbled through. She was smaller than any of them expected. Her body was thin and covered in soft blue fur. Her eyes were large and golden, filled with fear and pain. Cuts and bruises marked her arms and legs. She looked like she had been through a war. When she saw the humans, she stopped. Her eyes went wide. "What are you?" she whispered. "We are humans," Hannah said gently. "We are from Earth. Do you know Earth?" Kira shook her head. "I do not know this word. I do not know your species. You are not in any records." "What do you mean, records?" Tay asked. Kira swayed on her feet. She was weak from blood loss and exhaustion. Before she could answer, her legs gave out. Wu caught her before she hit the floor. "Medical bay," Tay ordered. "Questions can wait." They carried Kira through the ship. She weighed almost nothing, like a child made of paper. Dr. Yuna met them at the medical bay and immediately began treating her wounds. "These injuries," the doctor said, her face growing dark, "these are not from an accident. Someone did this to her. Someone tortured her." The word hung in the air like poison. Kira opened her eyes. The medicine was helping, but the fear never left her face. "The Vorak," she said. "The Vorak did this. They torture everyone. They have tortured the galaxy for 200 years. Tay pulled a chair close to her bed. "Tell us everything," he said. "Start from the beginning." And Kira told them. She told them about the Vorak Empire, about the conquest, about the 12 species that had been enslaved. She told them about the work camps, the prisons, the executions. She told them about children being taken from their parents, about entire cultures being erased, about hope being destroyed. The humans listened in silence. With every word, their faces grew harder. Kira told them about her own life. She was a Fanari, born in a prison. She had never known freedom. Her mother had died in a work camp when Kira was young. Her father had been executed for trying to escape. She had grown up alone, surrounded by death. 3 days ago, she had found her chance. A Vorak guard had been careless. Kira had stolen his keycard, snuck onto a shuttle, and flown into space. She had not planned anything. She had not hoped for rescue. She had only wanted to die free. "Then I found your ship," she said. "I thought it was empty. I thought I would die here alone. But then the doors opened, and you were inside." She looked at them with her golden eyes. "Who are you? Where did you come from? The Empire has records of every species in the galaxy, but you are not in those records. It is like you do not exist." Tay stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars burned cold and distant. "We are from Earth," he said. "We left our planet 300 years ago. Our world was dying. Our world was dying. We were looking for a new home. 300 years?" Kira's voice was full of shock. "You have been sleeping for 300 years?" "It seems that way," Hana said. "We did not know the galaxy had changed so much. We did not know about the Vorak." Kira started to cry. Quiet tears rolled down her blue fur. "You are free," she whispered. "You are the only free beings left in the galaxy. Everyone else is a slave. Everyone else has given up. But you are free." Wu spoke for the first time. His voice was quiet but firm. "Not just free," he said. "Angry." "Ah." Tay turned back to face his crew. Behind him, more humans had gathered at the door of the medical bay. They had heard everything. Their faces showed the same emotion, rage, pure, burning rage. "We left Earth to find a new home," Tay said. "We did not find one. Instead, we found a galaxy in chains. We found people being tortured. We found evil winning." He looked at each of his crew members. "I will not force anyone to fight. This is not our war. These are not our people. We can find a quiet corner of the universe and hide. We can live out our lives in peace. That is one choice." No one spoke. "Or we can do what humans have always done when they see injustice. We can stand up. We can fight. We can show this Vorak Empire what happens when you wake up the wrong species." Hannah stepped forward. "I am with you, Captain." Wu nodded. "I will build the weapons." One by one, every human in the room stepped forward. Even Dr. Yuna, who hated violence, raised her hand. Kira watched them with wonder. She had never seen anything like this. She had never seen people choose to fight for strangers. "You would die for us?" she asked. "You do not even know us." Tay smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a soldier preparing for war. "We are humans," he said. Dying for strangers is what we do best. And somewhere in the galaxy, the Varak Empire continued its reign of terror, not knowing that its end had just begun. The galaxy was burning, not with fire, but with fear. Every planet, every moon, every space station lived under the shadow of the Varak Empire. They had come from the dark edges of the universe 200 years ago. No one knew where they started. No one knew why they wanted to destroy everything beautiful. They simply arrived, and they never stopped taking. The Varak were tall creatures. Their skin was gray like stone, and their eyes glowed red in the darkness. They had 4 arms, each ending in sharp claws that could cut through metal. When they spoke, their voices sounded like rocks grinding together. They felt no love. They felt no mercy. They only felt hunger for power. Before the Varak came, the galaxy was peaceful. 12 different species lived together in harmony. The Lumi were beings of light who created beautiful art. The Fenari were small and gentle, known for their healing abilities. The Gorath were strong but kind, always helping others build homes and cities. Together, they had created a civilization of wonder. The Varak destroyed it all in 50 years. Planet by planet, they swept across the stars. Their warships blocked out the suns. Their soldiers marched through streets filled with screaming families. They did not want to negotiate. They did not want to trade. They wanted slaves. On the planet Lumia, home of the light beings, the Varak built their first work camps. They forced the Lumi to use their light to power massive factories. When a Lumi grew too weak to shine, the Varak threw them into furnaces. The beautiful art of their civilization became ash dot on Fenara. The Varak took the healers and made them work without rest. When sick Varak soldiers needed treatment, the Fenari had to help them. If they refused, their families died. Many Fenari chose death over helping their torturers. The Varak did not care. There were always more slaves. The Gorath tried to fight. They were the strongest species in the galaxy. Their warriors gathered on their home world and prepared for war. But the Varak had weapons the Gorath could not imagine. Bombs that turned entire cities to glass. Guns that fired beams of pure destruction. The Gorath War lasted 3 days. After that, the survivors became builders for the Empire. They constructed prisons and torture chambers with their own hands. Year after year, the suffering continued. Children were born into slavery and died in slavery. The old stories of freedom became myths that no one believed. Hope was a word that had lost its meaning in the center of the Empire. The Varak Emperor sat on a throne made from the bones of 1,000 species. His name was Krath, and he was the oldest and cruelest of all Varak. He had led the conquest himself, watching planets burn with joy in his red eyes. Now he ruled over billions of slaves, and he wanted more. But far away from all this pain, something drifted in the cold emptiness between stars. Thought it was a ship. A human ship. The vessel was called the Dawn of Earth. It was long and silver, shaped like a sleeping whale. Its engines had stopped working 300 years ago. Its lights were dark. Its hulls were silent. To anyone watching, it looked like a dead thing floating in the void. But it was not dead. Inside the ship, in a room filled with fog and ice, 40 humans slept in cryopods. Their bodies were frozen, their hearts beating only once per hour. They did not dream. They did not feel the centuries passing. They simply existed, waiting for something to wake them. Captain Tay was in the center pod. He was a man of 40 years, with a strong face and kind eyes. Before the long sleep, he had been a soldier and then a leader. His crew trusted him with their lives. He had promised to take them to a new home among the stars. That promise was 300 years old now. Next to him slept Lieutenant Hannah. She was younger than Tay, with sharp features and sharper instincts. She had been the best pilot on Earth before the mission began. She could fly anything with wings or engines. In another life, she might have been an artist. But Earth needed warriors, not painters. In the pod on the other side was Wu. He was the weapons officer, a quiet man who spoke little but noticed everything. His hands had built guns and bombs that could crack mountains. He did not enjoy violence, but he understood it. When the time came to fight, Wu would be ready. There were 37 others. Engineers and doctors, scientists and soldiers, farmers and teachers. They were the last hope of a dying Earth, sent into space to find a new beginning. They never found it. Their navigation systems failed. Their fuel ran out. They drifted into the unknown and were forgotten. Earth itself had died long ago. The humans did not know this. They did not know that their species was considered extinct. They did not know that the galaxy had moved on without them. They simply slept, preserved in ice like ancient fossils. The dawn of Earth floated through a region of space that no one visited. It was too far from the Empire, too empty to be useful. The stars here were old and dim. The darkness was complete, but one day, something changed. A small ship appeared near the dawn of Earth. It was damaged, trailing smoke and sparks. Inside was a single passenger, a Fenari named Kira. She was young, barely an adult by her species standards. Her body was covered in wounds. Her eyes were filled with tears and terror. Kira had escaped from a Varak prison ship. She had stolen a shuttle and flown blindly into space, not caring where she went. She only wanted to get away. She only wanted to stop screaming. Her stolen shuttle was dying. The fuel was gone. The air was running out. Kira looked through her window at the endless darkness and prepared to die. Then she saw the dawn of Earth. At first, she thought it was another dead ship. There were many of those floating in space, graves of species the Varak had destroyed. But as she drifted closer, her sensors detected something strange. Life signs. Faint, but real. Kira did not know what humans were. The word meant nothing to her. But she knew that living beings were inside that ship, and living beings might help her. With the last of her shuttle's power, she connected to the dawn of Earth's airlock. The old systems of the human ship recognized the connection. Emergency protocols activated for the first time in 3 centuries. Lights flickered on in dusty hallways. Computers began to hum and click. Deep in the cryo chamber, a warning appeared on Captain Tay's pod. External contact detected. Emergency revival initiated. The ice began to melt. The fog began to clear. And after 300 years of silence, humanity was about to wake up. Kira did not know what she had done. She did not know that she had just changed the fate of the galaxy. She only knew that she was cold and scared and alone. She would not be alone for long.